Good morning, YouTube. How's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Dirty. I first want to start out my video by saying I apologize for not uploading. We had some jets go down across the country. Technically, they're still in California, but we had some jets go down, so we've been working sun up to sun down. We had to go get them back to our base, and it's been hectic. I haven't had time to do any videos. I know I uploaded a few days ago, but that was kind of older video. So here it is. I'm back on a normal working schedule. Everything should be good. So for this episode of Talking Dirty, we are going to be talking about the front suspension, front axle, front everything on Duramaxes. And to start out, I want to say, the Ford gang, I want to start out by saying that it has I believe a 9.25 inch ring gear axle. It's an independent front suspension setup, and they're amazing, but crappy at the same time. So, the good thing is the ride quality. The ride quality on these trucks are just like outstanding. You know, they ride nice, like everything's so good about them. But they also have good stance when lifted and stuff, and everything's good. But the ride quality and all that stuff comes with its own set of issues. So, the first thing I want to talk about, and the biggest issue that everyone runs into on these trucks, is tie rods. Everyone breaks tie rods. Well, not everyone, because I haven't yet. I have had Moog tie rods in this truck, and I have not broken a tie rod. I pulled it, I raced it, I did four-wheel drive launches. Not often, not since twin turbos, but before I pulled it in four-wheel drive, and I had no issues. But basically, if you do anything four-wheel drive, the first upgrade you should do for these front ends is tie rod sleeves. You can get them from, I know the Chevy dealership around here has them for just sleeves for like $100. They're not bad. I don't know why I haven't done it yet. I guess because I'm cheap, and they haven't caused me an issue. I need new tie rods anyways, and I'd like to do a whole setup. I know the DMAX store has the Stage 3 setup, which is the straight center link, Pitman idler arm, and the brackets, and the oversized tie rods. So it's a little pricey. I'll see if I can get into it. But anyways, so some of the things I want to go over is with lift kits. We're going to start with lift kits because my truck's lifted, so I know a little bit more. I have a 6-inch rough country lift. So drops the bolt 6 inches, the lowers drop. And you basically just drop the axle down, and you can see I have negative angles right now, and that's another thing we'll talk about. But what you have to do with the lift kit, and I didn't like this because you can never go back to stock, is you have to cut the front mount off your transmission. You literally cut it off and grind it down, and then you bolt on a mount for the lift. So if you are thinking about lifting your truck and ever going back to stock, consider that. Because with the rough country and most of the lift kits, you have to cut it off unless there's a different one that I don't know about. So with that, you guys may or may not know I got into an accident. I do not have the 4-inch lift blocks in the back. I have my torsion key bolts out completely, and my truck is basically slammed on a lift kit. So it sits probably about maybe an inch or two higher in the front than stock, so I can clear the tires. But I have 6-inch spindles, 6-inch lift spindles, and all that stuff. But that gives me negative CV angles. I did that for racing, so you can see. So right here is like the biggest thing that you're worried about is these angles, because what happens is when your truck's lifted and you have it cranked right up, your CV angles will go from axle to wheel like this, and then when you torque, like so the wheel's out here, when you are in four-wheel drive and you floor it, it lifts up, so it creates even more, and that's how you snap CV angles. So the idea of negative CV angles is that they level out when you're under torque, and that way you don't snap your CV axles. So that's the first thing. So if you don't plan on racing it in racing your truck in four-wheel drive or anything, or mudding, a higher CV angle isn't bad, but it's one of those things. So with that, leveling kits usually make it ride like ass, and that's one of the great things about independent front suspension, like I said, is the ride quality is there. Like, it's so smooth. The reliability, not so much, but it's smooth as hell. So I love it. Something else I will say is that you have people who do solid axle swaps, and it's definitely been a thought for this truck, is that I would like to solid axle swap it to lift it back up if I went with another race truck, build something else, put this back to stock. I don't know yet. I don't know what the deal is, but anyways, basically the solid axle swap alone gives you an automatic 4-inch lift, so you can go bigger with bigger leaf springs. I'm pretty sure it runs a Ford, I think it's a Dana 80. I'm probably way wrong on that. I looked it up a while ago, but the solid axle swap is it's a cool thing to do if you want to lift it and go off-roading or pulling. For everyday driving though, this is fine. One of the biggest things that bothers me is that the lift kit comes with spacers. So all you have is plastic spacers that hold the CV axle to it, and like I said, I haven't had any problems. I've been off-roading, I've done everything, I've jumped the truck by accident. But there's just a few minor design flaws with the independent front suspension, and part of the reason I'm doing this video, and you'll find out in tomorrow's video, is alignments. Alignments suck, and I always have issues with them. My other tire's wearing really bad because the upper control arm keeps moving. So kryptonite upper control arms may be something here in the near future that we'll be doing for the Duramax, if I can pull the trigger on it and decide to do it. So alignments suck, components wear out, wheel bearings, all that shit. Obviously, like everything, they all wear out, but it's just kind of, it's one of those things that are just, it gets old having to align it, and my truck keep coming out of alignment. So that's probably the biggest thing. You can see, I'll show you. If you can see this tire, like it's wearing on the inside again. So, and it's also probably because it's bent from the accident, so that could be very much part of my problem. So I need to fix that. These front suspensions are torsion bar setups. So the way it works is you have this lower control arm, this metal bar that runs back, and there is a torsion key over here in the bottom here. Hold on. This key is right here, the torsion key, and there's a bolt right that usually goes in there. Like I said, mine's not in there. There's a bolt that goes in there, and basically it puts a downward pressure on it, and that pushes down on the upper lower control arm, and that's where your suspension comes from. So if you have your keys cranked way up, you're going to get a stiffer suspension. There's not going to be so much flex in it, and it's also going to give you a taller stance. So the lower or the more backed out your key is, the lower your truck's going to sit, the more turned up, the higher it's going to sit. Now, you can make small adjustments on the keys with the truck on the ground, but don't crank them. You will snap the bolts. So always jack it up to take the stress off of it, and then turn it to wherever you want. Basically, that's your ride height. So what you should do is be on a perfectly level area and take a ruler or tape measure and go from the bottom of the frame to the ground on both sides when you're setting it. And basically that's how you're going to adjust it. I don't really have too much more to say about the front suspension. I know a lot of guys who race them and haven't upgraded anything internally. I haven't had any issues. If something arises, I'll let you guys know. Basically, just wanted to talk real quick and say 9.25 front ends, 373 gears in all Duramaxes, because like that's what they have. Unless you have a custom order truck or a special order truck, like that's what they have. The lift kit, you cut the bracket off and you have to bolt a new one on. You can never go back. So just food for thought about lifting your truck. Be prepared to keep it lifted forever. And like I said, you can get a pretty good stance out of it if you turn the keys all the way down. Like this is stock height in the back, so this is like stock height in the back, and then 6-inch lift in the front, turn all the way down. So like it's very possible to make it look halfway decent. But basically the another Duramax going by. Oh yeah. Basically that's gonna do it, guys. Just want to give you a quick heads up on like axle things. If you have any more questions, you know the deal. Feel free to comment and let me know. I try to answer everyone's questions, so that way everyone knows what's going on. It's really hard to talk about the front end because I don't really know too much. No one really fucks with them that much, so I just want to get it out there, like the lift kit thing and all that shit. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, we'll be doing weekly talking dirties. If you like the video, please drop a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and we'll see you later.